Welcome to Women Express. Here we are again. I'm Denise Harrington, and this is
Nia Harrington.
And we are the Harrington duo.
What do we call? We called ourselves corporate baddies earlier today.
Nia has named us the corporate baddies, and that's who we are today. And the good news about this particular interview is that we have a duo that we're interviewing that are also baddies. They're not, I guess you...
Nonprofit baddies.
Nonprofit baddies.
Exploring baddies.
Extraordinary outside of the lane baddies. So we're looking forward to that. One thing I did want to say about Women Express, we are expanding quite a bit. Our whole tagline is bringing women's voices to the table. And it's important in this day and age when women's, well, I won't say rights because that might be kind of big, but women's issues, rights are being turned down. And this is the time and a time for us to bring our voices forward again. One thing that I'm watching is that we're regrouping around this whole effort to kind of cut our voices out, and that regrouping going underground. I'm seeing a lot of things from women being rebirthed. So it's great to talk to the two of you. We have with us today Abi Ferrin and Laura Grier. I think I said it right. And they are very extraordinary. I would say that they have gone underground and created a world that when they help you enter into it, it changes the way things go for you. I think that that's true. Is that true? I mean, we interviewed
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And one thing that did come up, I kind of had to mention, you may know that they have these hats on, and we're going to talk about these hats. But I was feeling naked because I don't have a hat, and I like hats. And so I was kind of making them feel bad about it because, so Nia and I decided that we do have hats on. You just can't see them. So anyway.
You have crowns on. You have your own crowns
on. So welcome to the party, Laura and Abi. We are excited to be with you today. I think what you're going to give to our listeners is a wealth of knowledge, but certainly a transformational experience. I know that when I bumped into both of you here at 1229, I just was like, who are these women? I need to know who they are.
I need to talk to them.
I need to talk to them, and they need to be on the podcast. And the reason that was true was because of your backgrounds, how different they were, but also how you came together as two different women under one roof to create a great mission. And that's what we're here to talk about today, the Mayu mission. So welcome.
Yes.
Abi, you want to go first?
Sure. Yes. So my name is Abi Ferrin. I'm originally from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and spent the first I spent my first 36 years of life building a career as an impact fashion designer, working with women coming out of human trafficking. And then I went to Peru to see Machu Picchu and had a life-changing experience with the indigenous peoples of Peru, and realized that I had no knowledge of them in my own hometown, and that I had grown up thinking my family were the founding homesteaders of Jackson Hole and the first people there. And it's just been this like wild unfolding. And I really, the Peruvian and the Quechua knowledge has changed my life and transformed the way I live. And so I've just dedicated my future and my career to bringing this knowledge forward into the world through beautiful clothes and fashion, and then also through our nonprofit mission with Mayu Mission.
Yay!
So,
Yay!
A bit more.
Yeah. She thought that they were the original people of Wyoming, Jacksonville, Wyoming. That was a big thought.
Your world was...
You got your world rocked in you, girl.
There's a plaque to my great-grandfather in front of the Tetons that tells all about it. So, it wasn't... It was just the way it was taught.
That was how it was
more
taught.
To the story, it turns out.
Yes. Can't wait to unfold that with you shortly. But first, let's give Laura the opportunity to also share. Who are you? What do we need to know?
Well, I'm Laura Grier. I'm an adventure travel photographer, hat artist and entrepreneur with the lifestyle fashion brand and impact fashion brand. And also I'm an expert with National Geographic. I go on their expeditions, and I grew up in a family with a lot of travel. Both my parents worked for the CIA, and my sisters and I did a lot of traveling at a young age. And so I think I've been exposed to a lot of different cultures from a young age and always been very fascinated with it. And through shooting with National Geographic, I've been photographing artisans doing vanishing crafts around the world for the past 17 years. And Peru is one of the offices that National Geographic, their artisan catalog, has an office. And I had met the Quechua artisans and been exposed to them through their weavings and photographing them with their weavings for years. And the funny thing is that both Abi and I started our businesses around the same time during COVID, because it was a really tough time for the Indigenous and for artisans around the world, actually, where they just didn't have access to marketplaces to sell their goods, and were really struggling during the pandemic. And so during that time, I decided to bring some hats back to the US and sell them and start a website. And kind of it was my social impact project to focus on during COVID, when the whole world, everything else I was doing, travel, weddings, photography, events, were all shuttered during that time. And then it just has grown into this whole beautiful, storytelling impact, starting the nonprofit, meeting Abi, realizing she was doing the same thing with her Cape company. And we're like, wait, there's another one of you? And like, this is amazing. And so we've kind of built an alliance, not only just with our artisans, with each other, to help support women. And we do trips down to Peru and retreats and all kinds of things. For me, I'm just a storyteller across all different mediums. And so this is just another way for me to tell stories. And I'm really passionate about educating women, supporting women. Fashion, Peru is my favorite place on the planet. Same thing, when I went there, was exposed to the culture and the spirituality of the Quechua. It really, really affected me. Like, I think I was Peruvian in a past life or something. I just felt very at home there. And so, so this is how it all came to be. And now it's just, who knows where we're going to go next.
I'd love to dive a little bit more into that, because it sounds, I think what we love here at Women Express is that platform of giving women a voice to explain their why and to show up. And I know that you guys each kind of had an individual journey of why this project was important to you, but then collectively too, you now have a mission together. So I'd love to dive into a little bit. What was the intention when you first discovered this passion in the fashion space, and then how did it dive deeper?
So for me, the most interesting thing is that, so the Spanish, when they came over to Peru, they didn't realize that the weavers were the living librarians of the culture. Mm-hmm. So everything about their cosmology and story is documented in these weavings. They just thought they were pretty pictures, so they didn't make them stop. And so it's one of the last unbroken lineages that was never squashed and had to rebirth, which is what you see with a lot of the indigenous tribes around the world. Yeah. And I'd just been working with human trafficking and seeing, like, no matter how many women were helped, there were just thousands behind them. And it was just like, this world is crazy. I do not understand what's going on here. Like, I was like, is anybody else seeing this? This is just nutters. And when I went to Peru and I met the Quechua, I was like, wow, these people make so much sense. Like, the way they operate and function with each other, the way they operate and function with nature, the way that they are just in such a beautiful, harmonized balance with in their family units, with nature. I was like, wow, these people really make so much sense to me.
Yeah. Give us some examples of that. What does that makeup look like?
Well, so there's 13 different nations within the Quechua, and each one of them has a function. So there's the potato farmers, and they make sure everyone has food. There's the alpaca farmers, and they make sure everyone has the wool to make their clothing. There's the wisdom keepers who hold all the wisdom, and they stay up high in Ausangate in the mountains. And then you have the protectors and the peacemakers, and they're the ones that we actually work with in the village that I collaborate with these weavings. They hold the boundary between the wisdom keepers and the rest of the world, so that wisdom is just protected and isolated and not colonized. And, they all work together. So they make sure that there's not there's not disparity. There's a lot of harmony. They make sure that everyone's getting fed, everyone's getting clothed. They don't even have a word for I in the Quechua language. So that it's a very non-selfish culture. Wow. Like if I was there, I would say Abi is going to town to get something. I wouldn't say I am going. So they're just like such a we-based culture. And in that model, there's a lot of like harmony and a lot of care for each other. And it just makes a lot of sense to me, the way it operates.
Yeah. I think that's what got me interested in having you guys be on the podcast, because you could see the nature of that when you were telling the stories about them, how they really work together, and how much of that we could really, really use. It's unfortunate. I know that you showed your cape, and people can't see it on the audio, but I would recommend that you all go to YouTube and take a look at it, because it's not only is it beautiful, but all of the weavings tell a story. And so I think that the stories have an impact. I looked at Laura's, the band around her hat, and both of you, Laura's stood out because she said that hers meant purpose, and then Nia said, well, that's the meaning of my name.
I love it. I mean, honestly, the Mayu, which is it actually means river in Quechua, but it can also mean the Milky Way, like a celestial river. But it also translates into purpose, because a river always flows in one direction. It might change course along the way, but it ends up where it's meant to be. And so there's a lot of natural metaphors in their weavings that explain ideas. It's not like, oh, this word equates this symbol in their alphabet. You know, it's not like that. It's more about storytelling. But same, so we have a lot of similarities. It's the same cosmology is on our hat bands being woven by the Quechua. And, you know, as Abby's cape, if you wear, it's a woven prayer, and when you're wearing it, it's protecting you. The same idea is with your hat. Your hat is your last barrier between you and source or God. It's covering energetically your third eye, your crown chakra. What you wear in your hat is your intention that you're putting out to God. It's also protecting you. And in a lot of the villages all around Peru, every village has a different style hat. And you can tell if a person's important, how many kids they have, if they're widowed, how much Spanish lineage, what village they're from. You can tell all that by the way they decorate their hat. If they're single, if they're not. And I think it's really, it says something about you. And so I loved that idea and brought that in with the hat company. And Abby's brought that in with her capes too, where it's like you're conscious about what you're putting on your body, not only where it's coming from, but what you're saying about yourself when you're wearing. What intention did you put on this day? You know, and they do that without really like thinking about it. It's just sort of built into their lifestyle, and we've just lost that along the way. So now we're trying to make people be more conscious about what they put on. And think about
Well, it's interesting.
I was gonna say that's the deeper dive with the weaving and the storytelling, because it's it's very intentional. It sounds like what they're sharing, but as Abby said, people thought it was just art, but it's really their history. So give us a little bit more on that discovery for both of you.
Yeah. So when I've really gone up and just spent a lot of time sitting in the fields with them and watching them weave and asking questions, and realizing that they didn't ever look at their hands. I was like, how do you guys, if I was doing a cross stitch, I would have messed it up so many times already. And I would have had to be staring at my hands and staring at the pattern. And they don't look at their hands. They say a prayer with their 3 coca leaves. And then they offer it to Pachamama, Mother Earth. And then they just start weaving. And so then I realized, like, oh, this is a dialect. This is like a living prayer, literally coming through into what they're weaving. And so I just asked them a lot of questions about it. And so my son is actually Quechua. His father is from this lineage. And so my niece runs the Peruvian company, and she also has her degree in anthropology. So she's been undergoing an anthropological study and like really like bringing my son's grandmother to the village, and because a lot of them only speak Quechua, and just getting a lot of information. And I feel like I'll understand what a symbol means, and I think I understand it with my mind. And then I'll be sitting there in the field with them and like, oh my gosh, there's so much more layers to it. Like the masculine and feminine. It's like the sun is masculine and the water's feminine, and these little flecks. I wonder if I have one of those.
And they also have different interpretations where you go. It's an oral history. There's not just one perfect meaning for everything. And it can slightly change from village to village, but it's just this beautiful story and idea that's being passed. I love it.
It's interesting. One of the reasons, again, why I was attracted to both of you was this whole concept of the story, and how the story is woven into the fabrics that you put on your body. We are so used to, in our cultures, our evolved cultures, which I I don't think that that's the truth. But the bottom line is our culture has cut out all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, to have two people show up in a space where I met you and to see you reverberating a lineage story in the way that you were talking, but mostly in the way that you were sharing what the fabrics were, was really quite profound. So it made me think, and this is where I really came from with the idea of this podcast, is how do we bring this back to our world? What do we do to bring this back? Because clearly we have fallen off the rails.
Yeah. Well, I think too, if you think about it, just from the outside looking in, right, with the products that you guys have, we've been taught since I was in school to kind of diminish being culturally like appropriating, right? So you can't dress a certain way. You shouldn't wear tribal stuff. You have to be very careful. So it's kind of as if that's pushing us further away from having understanding of things that are different and learning and growing from the culture. Instead, it's like a fear of, oh, I can't take on that culture. I don't want to be disrespectful. So we distance ourselves, which I think is the opposite of what we should be doing.
And it's a disconnect. Mm-hmm. Because it's a disconnect. That's what I got from the two of you. And it's especially, Abi, when you told your story about your son and how it's, he came into being and he was there and what happened out in the fields that you both had just shared, that put people back in touch with their world. It puts you back in touch with the world, as opposed to everything is, it's funny that we're even talking about this because AI is such a big thing now. Technology wants to take over. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but I feel that what you're doing and the resurgence of and the reemergence of the simple, soulful self is really critical. Mm-hmm. We've lost our way.
I have an AI joke. We're experts in AI, and that's our like leading guide, but it's ancient intelligence.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. I like that.
Like, ancient intelligence is the thing.
And I think it's so important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
be able to communicate through pyramids from Peru to Egypt without fiber cables.
Right. And really learning about yourself and trusting what's inside, like you say, taking the prayer and being able to articulate that instead of relying on the outside world to tell you how to articulate.
Well, can I say my thoughts on what you said about cultural appropriation? Yeah. From my experience of traveling around the world, I think the only thing,
don't we?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
My experience, is it better now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My experience from traveling around the world is that education and storytelling is the only thing that's going to combat misinformation, hate, prejudice, like closed-minded thinking. It's all the people that feel that way have never had a one-on-one experience in any of these places that they are prejudiced against. And I found myself being completely taught like so many lessons as I travel about cultures, because I came there with a certain idea and left there with a completely different idea through my experience. And so I think even now more than ever, storytelling is, I went to the National Geographic Storytellers Conference, and that was the big topic, was that we need more than ever to share the stories of all these ancient cultures and the places we're going, and get people to care about these things, or so they will conserve it and preserve it. And that's the only way, is emotionally connecting with people and having them understand more about these places, or else it's going to be lost. And I think that my experience as well with cultural appropriation, with outfits and things like that, is that when you ask permission and you have a personal connection with someone, they are so proud to share anything. They're the ones putting the headdresses on you and dressing you and like taking pictures of you. Like, they're so proud to share their culture. It's when you steal it. It's when you snap a photo without their permission. It's when you just like wear it and don't understand where it came from. Like, that's where I feel the cultural appropriation is. It's not the not caring about understanding where it's coming from. It's not that they care. It's about the intention behind why you're wearing it, who you're talking to. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just taking these symbols, if I was to just like copy these symbols and like put them on my own fabric and just start selling the symbols, that would be appropriation.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're like creating a full fiscal partnership with these women where they're feeding their children, they're educating their children, they're getting dignified living, you know, they prior to, and I think probably Laura has the same story, but prior to our partnership, the artisans didn't know how they were going to eat day to day. Like they literally would do their weaving and do everything and then put these bundles on their back and then walk out to where the tourists are and hope the tourists bought that day.
Yeah.
But with this, you know, they've expressed to me how amazing it's been for them to have like a consistent income that they know like they're going to be weaving and I'm going to keep selling these weavings, and they know that they have some sort of job security in the sense, you know, where they can.
And they work from home. Yeah. They don't have to hike 8 hours each way to a marketplace. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've also had anti-recidivism.
Tell us about that. So you all have helped to create this
economy basically here, right?
Yeah. So during COVID, a lot of the daughters, the younger women, were like, I'm out. Like, this is not a way to live. We're moving to the cities. We're going to go, you know, go work for the mining companies. Like there was a lot of recidivism.
Yeah.
And our project was so successful that when I went back 3 years later to visit them, the daughters were back with their husbands. And the husbands were telling me like, yeah, I saw how much money the moms and the grandmas were making. And I was like, there's no way we can make this much money in the city. We got to get back home. Like, that's amazing. So, you know, the younger women are coming back and finding economy in preserving their culture and continuing these ways.
So is there a danger there that, you know, a little bit of the money and that whole way of being can ruin what's been so kept for so long? It seems like it's a catch-22.
It's definitely a balance. And this is where, you know, I really think that the leadership, the women and there's a man who runs the whole organization and the community. They all work together. They've been actually really, they make sure that there's like, again, like I said, an even distribution of the work and that there's not just this flood of money coming in, but there's like, you know, there's an even distribution for dignified living. And then they also have projects that they're investing in, like a community center that's going to have like a
amazing
benefit everyone.
That documents their work and that they can come work together. You know, it is a tourist area and there's always going to be some pollution coming in, but I noticed that and Laura was just there recently, that they had Wi-Fi 3 years ago and they've stopped the Wi-Fi. They're not allowing the Wi-Fi in the village anymore.
Wow.
I think they just don't want that pollution coming in.
Wow.
Very
intentional. So like there's certain places you can go to, but yeah, it's a lot of intention and honestly letting them lead, you know, how they want to progress and how they want, but giving them the opportunity to do it in a way that's not leaving for the mining companies that are a big threat to the area, and keeping their protective boundaries in their villages where they have this other way to make money that they don't have to sell their land to be extracted from. I find
I work. Oh, sorry. I was going to add to what you were saying. So Abi works with like a whole group of artisans, specifically also with the capes, but with the hats, I work with probably 4 or 5 different groups. And then one of the groups in the Sacred Valley is about 13 different communities. So there's many different spread out areas that some are weavers, some are embroiderers, some are hat makers, some do the capes, some and we work with closely with Awamaki, which has been a nonprofit in the Sacred Valley for, I don't know, 15 plus years. And their whole model, we're sort of modeling after them, where they come in and they help connect brands like us with the weavers there, and they spread out the weaving jobs amongst all the different communities in the same way. You're not one person can do more and make more, like they spread it out. And we've also been donating money to build a women's community center there. So the idea is to show them how to run a business, show them how to have like tourism come in. They can do weaving displays, they can sell goods there, and people can stay overnight there. So if they're hiking down from the villages, they have a place to stay. They don't have to go back that same day. And the idea is after 3 years, fully gifting it to them where they're running it and self-sufficient doing it. Like, it's not about, okay, every year we have to get donations to keep them alive. We want to create a sustainable form of income and business for them to do themselves. So that's the idea. And I just love that, because then you're actually creating some hope for the future and jobs for future generations. And you're not just they're not dependent on us.
Yeah.
Which is yeah.
Yeah, that is a very good formula. I mean, there's a couple of formulas that I really want to play with. The river ends up where it's meant to be. I love that. And because I just asked you the question of how could we bring this wisdom to our day-to-day society. And if I tap back into something that you said, Abi, earlier, that, you felt like, our family was part of the legacy of Jackson Hole. And that's true. And there were other people that were there beforehand. So how do we, and rightly so, you felt that way. And how do we bring some of this, the river ends up where it was meant to be, and this balance with Pachamama and your own soulful self? How do we create, what would be a step for us to bring that into the world now?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I did just recently meet Ivan Lookinghorse, who's from the Lakota Standing Rock. I'm sure we've all heard of the Standing Rock standoff in South Dakota. They're the keepers of the White Buffalo Peace Bundle, and also their ancestors were literally on the land before my ancestors. So, really coming, I think, it's wild to watch how the Indigenous have just been really erased and oppressed in our culture. I mean, they didn't even have rights to their religion until 1978.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Something that keeps me up at night. I truly, really worry about this personally. It's
and the state of the reservations, the way that the women are being trafficked and sold off the reservations. I mean, there's just a horrific story happening in our own society today still. And even the government contracts. I mean, the more I learn, the more horrified I am. And I really I would love to keep this, this cultural preservation of the cultures that have been holding these things, and then also bringing back some stability and harmony back to the reservations in the United States. And not really to the reservations, to the people living on those reservations, to bring them back. I mean, the Indigenous schools that they were tortured through, there's still many people living who went through those schools. And so I just don't think that that's something that's, this is like probably a whole nother topic, but
and just to add to that, and more of a positive light too. So Abi and I have been part of the Sun Valley Forum in Idaho. For now, this will be year 2 that we're there and having a presence, and it's all environmental policymakers and people from all over trying to preserve, regenerative farming and just educating about environmental causes. And we, like the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, met with all the Indigenous and did a huge apology to all of them for how they've been treated over the years, and has been actively working with them to fix environmental issues around the state. And they literally just took down like a couple dams to fix this one problem with the salmon swimming upstream. And it's like for years they've been cut off by these dams, and the fish couldn't go upstream. And the second the Indigenous just told them, like, you just need to get rid of these 2 dams. And in 9 days, the fish fully recovered after about 70 years or something of like not having the fish. Like nature can recover so quickly. You just have to like listen to it, and so I love that now people are like, okay, well, we've messed things up so bad. Let's go back to the initial Indigenous people that were doing it correctly all along. And, we're borrowing seeds back from them to like for seed banks and doing all kinds of things. And I think that they have we can learn a lot from their knowledge instead of just, pushing it down.
Sounds like the river ends up where it's meant to be.
Yeah, I know. I love that.
Right. With both of you, so for me personally, I spend a good amount of my time reading about Indigenous stories and kind of learning about the horrific sides. And I always feel overwhelmed about how I can help. But based on your experiences and the steps that you took, what is a small way that somebody can either contribute to help your mission or find a mission and have a passion project like you guys have created, something that's so major now? But where can we start? What's like the little seed that we can do?
We have mayumission.org is our nonprofit. And we are definitely always looking for collaborators and people that can come and help us. I mean, Laura and I are like two little engines that can, but having more time, talent, and would be incredible.
What kind of talent are you looking for?
Well, people who have lawyers, there's all kinds of skill sets that are required to help get some of these things activated. We currently have 3 projects that we're raising money for. And then once those projects are completed, we'll be expanding into more. And then we also have our for-profit companies, which everything we do really goes back into feeding these people and supporting these people's work and giving us more resources to, my next goal personally is to expand to a fashion project on one of the reservations here in North America.
I was going to say, is there a way that not only you could connect to the indigenous cultures here, but is there a way to connect the cultures there to the cultures here and really create a thriving business? Because it would be interesting to know some of the deeper ways of looking at life that the indigenous have in America, this U.S. America. So what do you think about that? How connecting that bridge?
Yeah, I was just actually at the Eagle Condor gathering in Sedona, and there were 86 tribal leaders from all over the world doing this. So it's happening.
It is happening.
But what I notice is there's a lack of people with a lot of knowledge of how the existing systems work, supporting them.
Yeah.
So that it's like finding this way of, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Eagle Condor prophecy, but the eagle medicine is the technologies and all these things. We just haven't done it in a great way. But if we come together and listen to these people, but then also offer our skill sets, I mean, the treaties haven't been supported because the indigenous didn't really think like that. So there is black and white legal pathways for them, but they need people that have like a lot of sophisticated knowledge of how the legal systems work. I mean, just those are examples. In our project in Peru, we helped them set up an association so that they have like legal access to Peruvian government support now. If there was another pandemic, they wouldn't be left out like they were last time. And it was just for the matter that they didn't have any place to plug in to the government. They didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And Denise, add to that too, you were saying about the bridge. It's funny. They actually, that's what the Eagle Condor prophecy is about. We talked about it in our presentation actually at 1229 House, but basically 500 years ago, there was a prophecy that said that the humans on this planet were going to split into 2 peoples, the eagle and the condor people. The condor are indigenous, the heart, like lead with their heart. The eagle lead with their mind, and they're more masculine, and it's also like technology and modern world people, and saying that the modern world people, the eagle would almost eradicate the condor people. But there's a time 500 years from that prophecy where they would butt heads and they would have to work together to like save the planet. And that's literally what the time we're in right now.
Yeah, I think right now,
500 years later. And like, so about being the bridge, and we call it the Chicana, which is bridge in Quechua. We are sort of being bridges between the women there and the women here. But I think that's really important just to create more of these bridges, because they need help with spreading their word and selling things like through technology. And we need to also learn from them and environmental issues and all kinds of things like that. So but that is what the prophecy is right now. It's like happening.
I think one thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is women are always the ones doing the work. And it's, while fulfilling, and like you said, we're the engines that can, we will continue to do it. That's all we know how to do. But what can we tell people outside of our realm? How can we be supported? We need help. We can't do this alone. What is that message? Please help.
Yeah, for me, I really am hoping to inspire, and I guess hope isn't the right word. I am actively working on inspiring people to think about everything they do in a different way. I mean, women are the number 1 consumers in the world. So our money, money talks. And if we would start consuming in a way that's conscious and like really actively, that's like one small way, right? Like what are you purchasing food wise? What are you purchasing to put on your body? What are you purchasing to put in your home? Like every single spend. Those things are really important. And, you know, I could keep going on, but
I mean, Lululemon just got in trouble for having, you know, horrible like products that cause cancer, you know, made through petroleum and plastics and stuff in their clothing. And it's like touching your skin while you're sweating. And people don't realize all the toxins and all the things, you know, that are in our clothes are all around us all the time, the microplastics in our brain, like all the things. And not, you know, we have to be more conscious about what we put on our bodies and where we buy things from. And I think, you know, just getting in that immediacy now, Amazon.com, it's going to arrive at 2 a.m., not even tomorrow, 2 a.m.
Guilty. I'm guilty. Guilty.
And we're all guilty of it.
Yes,
and it's funny because it's like, I get it. You know, it's not easy to do what we do, which is actually go to the Amazon and get things like, you know, I get it. But like, I think if people are like, wow, I'd rather buy this hat knowing that it took 3 weeks to be made by hand and it's going to support a whole community, then get this cheap, you know, made in a factory from China hat that can arrive tomorrow. Like maybe people just made a few more decisions like that. It could change. Like,
I like that idea. Conscious decision making.
You know, conscious shopping for sure.
Shopping, the whole thing. I really, really love this idea. You know, another thing in terms of the bridging piece that, because if you look at all the stuff that is going on, it can be overwhelming and it can make you stay up at night. But one thing that you said today that was really hopeful, nature can recover so quickly.
Yeah.
I think if we put the right combinations together, which is why I'm so inspired that you all came on to speak, and hoping that we can get this message out to a lot of your people. So send this to your people, we'll send it to our people, tell your people to send it to their people, you know, and get this message out there, because so many people nowadays are running around worried about what they can do to rectify what's going on. And this is it's usually to rectify something is really simple. Like, can you just take those 2 dams down? And then nature comes in and changes it and heals it. And I know that I'm definitely a condor. I would be a condor. And so I'm talking condor right now.
Love it.
But the bottom line is that nature will come in and heal it. And, you know, sometimes the healing needs a little time, but nature gets it done if we just really do that for ourselves by starting that way ourselves.
Yeah.
So I really am grateful that the two of you found this mission. The river ends up where it's supposed to be. You two found each other at an international Sundance event. Thank God for that, or thank whatever the source, whatever you call it. Thank goodness that the river ended up where it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I love to, just before we close, as we're wrapping, I want to give you guys the opportunity. Is there anything that you didn't get to say that you feel like everyone must know?
I think the power of women working together. So watching the way that the women in the village work together, but then also how powerful it's been for Laura and I to have our 2 sovereign companies, but in this co-creative way of everything's half as hard and twice as fun. When we've really come in as collaborators, and we don't compete. We really have this beautiful flow together. I'm celebrating her wins. She's celebrating mine.
I love
that. Just really realizing the power of women when we're in our power in that way. Like we got to stop the competition, ladies. We got to work together. We got to help each other. Like that's 100%. My number one thing.
Yeah. Being each other's allies.
Abby's company, Mama Aini literally is reciprocity in Quechua, but it's their word for happiness. It's one of our bands, which I wish I had to show you, but Aini literally translates, Abby, help me out. I give to you, you give to me. I give to you today, you give to me tomorrow.
For me tomorrow.
Yeah, that's literally what that word means.
I give to you today and you give to me tomorrow.
Yeah, but you give first, right? And it's funny, one of my girlfriends who's going through a really hard time right now, I was like, she's going through a divorce and all this. I said, what are you doing? She said, I decided to volunteer this week because I feel better and more filled when I help other people when I'm going through a hard time. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And I just think that's such a cool thing to do, to be like, you might be going through a hard time, but someone else is going through a harder time.
Yeah.
And so why don't you help that person out, fulfill your cup for a second, reset, and I think it could help with a lot, instead of you just being so isolated in your own journey and your sorrow and what you're going through, lean on community. And that could be by giving to them.
Yeah.
And I think that that's an awesome thing to do. Like if you're feeling depressed or you don't know what your next step is or what's going on or whatever, go like volunteer, do something that week, just fill your cup a little bit, help someone out. And you never know who you're going to meet doing that will help you out, So that's sort of the idea.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to host us for a trunk show, a pop-up, a talk,
yes,
a fundraiser.
Yeah, we love storytelling. I can storytell for days. I have all my photos. I can tell you all about the culture and all the beautiful
National Geographics was in our house when I was little, and National Geographics was the way you met the world.
Yeah.
You met the world through National Geographics. And I always would spend hours in the basement in those books. So it's such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to have the two of you here.
Yeah. And if we did want to, pardon? Sorry.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Of course.
You're welcome.
If we want to connect with you, if we did want to have you for a trunk show, or if we wanted to donate, connect, volunteer
with
you, yes, we do have a few attorneys, considering we're here in DC, but what is the best way to connect with both of you?
Should we give our emails?
I would say websites. Just do all the websites, yeah.
Okay, so www.mamaini.com. And then
Mayu Mission, we said before, but it's Mayu, MAYU Mission, MISSION.org.
Great.
And then the hats is Andiana Hats. So it's ANDEANA hats, HATS.com.
Perfect. Wow, and we'll have this in all of the bios, descriptions, social posts. We'll make sure to link all of those for everyone as well.
Thank you.
Wow.
If you want to have a conversation to follow up, we'd love to bring your beautiful time, talent, and energy into the mix.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm super, super passionate about Indigenous here in the United States. I'm currently on a mission of learning about Oklahoma specifically, because they had so many different tribes, and the erasure of culture, not only for the Indigenous people, but for Black people as well, there is prolific. So that's my current focus. So yes, I'd love to help out where I can.
She has an uncle.
I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, so I grew up with a lot of the Indigenous culture taught to us in schools to an extent, and going and exploring and learning about nature there. But so I'd love to tap in. Thank you.
But let's follow up, and bring us in.
Let's get you some hats and things.
Get us some hats.
I need a purpose hat.
I need a hat. And then I put down events, and as we go forward and start creating more Women Express events, I certainly would love to have the two of you be a part of that.
Anytime.
And for the first time in probably 2 years, I picked up, the proverbial pen. I went back to the computer and started back on my book again. So I want to make sure the two of you are in there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. We'd be honored.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
An honor. What a beautiful conversation.
Yay. All right.
Well,
thank you
Thanks,
so
ladies.
much.
Right. We are so excited to welcome the Women Express Patreon. This is something that we've been wanting to bring to you guys for a really long time. So we're so excited you're here. What we want out of the Patreon is to create an intentional space for our listeners who want to grow in communication, confidence, leadership, and impact while building community. We really wanted to create a space for our Women Express community. So what you'll get out of this Patreon is exclusive live conversations, bonus communication and leadership tips, behind the scenes moments between me and my mom. If you don't know, now you know. Denise is my mom. We'll have featured drink recipes with our sips and tips that will happen, deeper reflections from the podcast, perhaps special guests as well from past podcasts and future, and a community. We want you all to be able to come together, get to know each other, and have opportunities to gather outside of just listening to us. We want to go from in your ears to in front of you. So our goal is simple: to create a space where women can learn, connect, and evolve and show up fully together in every room that we enter. So thank you for being a part of this beginning with us with our Patreon. We'll announce the tiers shortly for how you can participate and at which level. But the first place for you to participate is our very first Patreon Sips and Tips. Now, we've done this before, but now this is exclusive to our Patreon subscribers. So the first one you can join will be on June 4th at 6 p.m. We'll be talking about a specific topic that dives into women's leadership. So grab your favorite drink, grab a friend, and come sip and learn and grow with us.